Soular Expressions Podcast, the podcast for your soul, with me, Brian, and whoever you want me to be. You already know that. But today, I want to talk to you about the rabbit hole. If you don't know what the rabbit hole is essentially a bunch of conspiracy theories that people have or have found that contradict what we've been taught and what we've learned throughout our lifetime. So I'm not going to really talk about anything specific in the rabbit hole, but I just want to talk about the rabbit hole itself and how once you go down this rabbit hole, which a lot of people are afraid to because they say once you go down the rabbit hole, you're not coming back out. And essentially that's kind of true and it's kind of false. You can go in and you can come out, but you're going to come out different. It's like what's the movie with what's the girl's name? Alice in Wonderland, how she went down a rabbit hole and when she came out, her whole perspective on life was different. It's that same kind of concept. Once you go in, you're going to see some things and hear some things that may change your perspective. But once you go down there, you're going to see some things that you can't change. But from my experience going down the rabbit hole, and for me hearing that people say once you go down, you can't come back out, I decided that once I went down there, I was going to strap myself up, put me a harness on once I jumped down that hole, because I just know what's down there is crazy, and there's some crazy shit down there. There's shit about giants, the sky not being real, giant trees, goddamn religion, politics, celebrities, anything you can think of. There's a conspiracy theory and something in the rabbit hole that can distract your mind. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. A lot of it's distractions. Because a lot of things in the rabbit hole, you can't necessarily prove are true or not. It's just something that you either going to believe or you're not. But one thing that I did notice once I jumped in this rabbit hole is that I started to find out a lot of different things about myself, find out a lot of things out about myself. And that was kind of interesting to me because I would learn something that would intrigue me, but then there would be something else that comes up and I start looking into that. But as I got deeper into the rabbit hole, like I said, I started to realize that a lot of the things that's in this rabbit hole, I myself may never be able to prove to myself or anyone else. And the things that I did start to believe, that's only for me to believe, you know. And that's when I do a video about some of those things. It's not for me to change anybody's perspective. It's essentially talking about what I experienced on my journey into the rabbit hole. But like I said, the deeper you get, the more distracting things become, and the more things that you realize. Well, for me, that I realized that I wouldn't be able to prove. So what I decided to do, like I said, I put that harness on. So I decided to come up out of that rabbit hole, and not necessarily come out of that one, but yeah, come out of that rabbit hole, and I started to look for a different rabbit hole because, like I said, I started to find things out about myself. So I wanted to find a rabbit hole that was specifically tailored to me. Interesting, right? And there is a rabbit hole that's tailored to you. But what you have to understand, the big rabbit hole that they've set up is a trap for you to fall into because a lot of people won't come back out of that rabbit hole. I see it online all the time. People, you know, hitting these same points over and over. And essentially, like I said, they're distractions from you finding the rabbit hole about yourself. Because there's more in that rabbit hole of you that you can prove than what's in that other rabbit hole that they've kind of set up for you. I think it's all the setup. You know, they just put shit in there just to contradict and have people fighting over different things. But the one thing that you will never fight over is things that you believe about yourself. And all that is in that other rabbit hole that's tailored specifically for you. So that's what I started to do. I started to search around. I was like, where is my rabbit hole? What in there is about me that I can find out to be true or not to be true? You know what I'm saying? Because we grew up with all these beliefs about things that we believe in, things that we know to be true about that we think are true about ourselves, things that have essentially been placed in front of us since birth. A lot of things that we know about ourselves are things that have been told to us. Like you were told your religion, you were told that you were white, black, Spanish, whatever. But then you see how crazy that gets you. You're white, you're black, but then you jump to Spanish, Asian, but how you just get white and black? That to me, that concept don't make any sense. Like Caucasian, that to me, all that doesn't make any sense. And again, that's stuff that you're gonna find out once you dive your ass into that rabbit hole. And I'm not suggesting that you go into the rabbit hole because, like I said, once you go in, you're gonna start seeing some things. You're gonna start want to know some things. So if you do decide to jump into a rabbit hole, make sure it's the rabbit hole about you. Because once I jumped into that rabbit hole, I started to find out information about myself that I never knew existed about me, which is crazy, right? You think that you know everything about you. But there's a lot of things that you don't even understand about yourself, but you have to go into a rabbit hole about yourself. And in this rabbit hole, you're going to learn some things. Like one thing, your palm. Your palm has knowledge about you. And you may think that it's crazy, but again, all these lines are tailored to things that happen in your life. Your left hand is your past. Your right hand is your present and future. And these are things that I've learned. Like I read books. I sought out a palmist to help me understand what a lot of these lines meant on my hand. And this was something that I decided to do once I dove into that rabbit hole because there was more than what meets the eye. It's just not a palm. You see? You see that M? You may have an M. It means something. There's triangles and all other kind of lines that mean so much, but you have to go into a rabbit hole about yourself to figure this out. You can't go into that other one because that other one's full of distractions to keep you from understanding that you are a multidimensional being, you are a soul, you are a human, you are multiple things at one time. But they only want you to see yourself as one thing. And that's why you got to go in the rabbit hole about yourself to find out. And like something I've never done before, again, until going into the rabbit hole about myself was tarot. I never really had a calling to want to have my cards read because I really didn't. Life is what it is. It's going to play out how it does. But at the same time, it gives you insight into who you are and some of the decisions you make and how you make those decisions. It's just another thing to learn about you, another way to go into that rabbit hole of you. And the information you receive is for you to put to your use. And it's all about learning about you because nobody else can tell you or teach you about you except you, but you have to research yourself. If you're not willing to research and understand who you are and strip away everything that you used to be to figure it out, then you won't know. And that's the thing about going into your own rabbit hole. It's not very big. It's not hard to find, but it's hard to get into because you have to strip away everything you once believed to get into there because you can't believe anything because you don't know. Again, we've been taught and told who we are and what we are. So you have to strip all of that down and become a whole new version, a naked version of yourself to go into this hole. And then again, you're going to start learning things and doing things that you never thought you would do. Like for me, fasting, I never in my life thought that I would start fasting because I just didn't feel it was, I just didn't have a feeling about it at all, really. But once I got into this rabbit hole and understanding how the foods we eat do things to your body and how flushing your body out of all these things and just letting your body do its natural thing, I decided to take that on. And I've done multiple 3-day fasts. That's as far as I got. I want to try 5, but at this point, I don't know because now I've incorporated that into my lifestyle. Now it's part of my lifestyle. I eat at 6 in the evening, and I probably won't eat again until maybe noonish the next day. So now I've incorporated at the least 12 hours every day of fasting, damn near. It's not many days where I don't do that. And that's because it helps with clarity. Like if you fasted and you got into that 24-hour point, you start to feel how your brain feels. It feels different. Like the way you start to process feels different, but you have to completely rid your body of those toxins and just ingest water and see what it does for you. You lose a lot of weight, I'll tell you that much. I went from probably 190 pounds, so I'm probably down like 160, 150. I don't know. I haven't weighed myself, but it's a noticeable difference. It's a noticeable difference. And that's something that I learned about when I went in the rabbit hole of myself because I had to see how it would affect me. I can't tell somebody else to do something if I haven't experienced it myself. So I can bring you the knowledge of what's going on with me and how I feel about it. It may not be the same for you, but you may not have had anyone to give you some knowledge about doing something like that. You hear about people doing fast, sun up to sundown, and then they eat what they want. Nah, like literally, even with that, I've changed the foods I eat. I don't eat the same things I once did, unfortunately, because some of that shit be good as hell, man, for real. Just think about that shit. But I had to do what was best for me. Like I removed gluten because that was something else I learned about going down the rabbit hole of myself. I learned some in the other rabbit hole. And that's the thing. When you go into the other one, you're going to learn some things that you can carry over with you. But you just have to know that you got to come up out of that other one because a lot of that stuff is distractions to keep you from focusing on yourself, which is that's what I'm here for, is to help you remember to focus on you. Everything I talk about is about you focusing on you and finding your own rabbit hole and learning more about yourself. Because there's things like celibacy. I never thought I would delve into that. But that's something that I had to try because the things I learned in research, how it affects your body, I want to experience that. And a lot of people don't want to become disciplined enough to do things like that. Because when I say I'm disciplined, there's so many things I've given up and haven't gone back to because I've seen what it has done to my body and for my mind. So going into the rabbit hole itself, I didn't put on any harness when I jumped down because I knew this was about me. And there's nothing down there that I didn't want to know about me. No fear I didn't want to uncover, no goal that I didn't want to reach. Everything was down in that hole. I just had to go and find it and put everything together. And that's what I say. If you're in the rabbit hole and you are talking about religion and native, not native, I understand all of those things are very important in the physical world. But we are more than physical beings. I understood the invisible side of me going into that hole, and that I am made of magic. I understand that I'm not your normal average person because honestly, I'm not even a person at this point from what I know and what I believe that I'm a human. I look like everyone else, but my soul is not a soul that reincarnates here very often. And I understand that from what I've learned, but I had to go into that hole, and the hole is dark. And that's where you spend a lot of your time in the darkness because what they say, without the dark, there is no light. Light just emits light. So you have to go in that darkness to understand that. And a lot of people are afraid, but nah, not me, because it was about me. I wanted to know what am I truly capable of? Are the things that they say in these movies real? And a lot of these things, from my experience, are real. They just make them a lot grander than what they actually are to make you believe that it's not capable. When it actually is, it's just not as grand as they make it. It's more subtle things. So once you start understanding the subtle nuances and the synchronicities of your life and how things go, then you'll really start to understand who you are as a being, a multi-dimensional being on top of that. You're not just a person, you're not just this physical skin. This is just here for us to enjoy the ride of our experience here. We're here to have fun and enjoy it. And that's another thing I learned in the rabbit hole. I learned my purpose for being here. I understood so many different things now. And there's so many things that I could say, but it's for me because some people may not understand, especially if you're not the type to go into a rabbit hole. If you're afraid to even go close to it, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if you're not doing it to educate yourself about you, because that's the only thing you truly can become a master of is yourself. And if you haven't mastered yourself, honestly, you haven't mastered anything at all. That's my personal opinion. And that's the way I'm gonna leave it. If you haven't mastered yourself, you've mastered nothing. Because we're here for self mastery, not to master how to be a doctor. Because if you've done that and you still have issues with it within yourself, what have you done besides learn the skill? Do you know yourself? Do you know who you are? Do you know what you're meant to do here? You're really just meant to enjoy this shit and help other people live in unconditional love. So that's what it is. Find your own rabbit hole. Journey down it. But no, you're not going to come back out. You're not going to come back out the same.